Perfect. So I thought of first start with the administration activity from Boomi perspective. So there are two types of administrations, or a management kind of things that Boomi person have to do. The first part is maintaining the portal. So you log in into Boomi via platform.boomi.com. So once you do that, you I mean, you as an admin, you have some privileges to add something, delete something, and modify something. So that we will discuss today. And post that, we also have atom level administration. This is more of a kind of programming that we will be covering once we are into atom and other stuff. All right. So just to make you familiar with the UI of Dell Boomi screen. So once you log in into platform.boomi.com, it lands you to build page directly. So if I click on build page again, the same thing, it shows you the account ID in the URL. So this account ID is nothing but a specific or a primary key pertaining to this particular instance, or pertaining to this particular login, right? So your particular email address can have multiple accounts associated to. That means, let's say you have a training account, so it will be with a different account ID. Let's say you have your own company account, then that company account will be with a different account ID. And let's say you're working for some client, then obviously you'll have some different account ID. So that means a different instance altogether gives you a different account ID. That is one part of it. That is how the Boomi is built in order to separate the work from one client to another client. Suppose that if you take a look at this blue color ribbon, we could see a message box here. This message box is nothing but it gives you a latest messages or updates from Dell Boomi. They thus provide scheduled maintenance every month, during which in a brief 4 hours of time, they take a 15 minutes of window and then refresh or deploy a new version of the UI, or any bug fixes if it already are there. So they do tell the developers that, hey, this there is a scheduled maintenance going to happen. Please do not make much changes of your processes, right? So that is how it comes up. So this is just for your information, right? And suppose that you have your company name, and then once you hover your cursor onto it, you could see switch account, setup, and logout. So let's say there is a case wherein you have already logged in via your email address and password, but for some reason you want to log in into your client account and see whether there is some functionality implemented, or let's say there is a production run happening and you want to go there and see it. Then how do you do it is just by switching your account. It's not that you log out and log in into same via same email again. So you just make a search here. So it will list down what are the different accounts that you are associated to. So you have to select the different account, right? And then click on OK. So automatically the UI will take you, I mean, nothing will change, just the account and the the components related to that particular account will be appearing for you. So that means you have switched to some other account which you are already associated to. So that is how it's pretty easy to change the client environment of a development, right? And then you have something called setup. Setup is something we'll be dealing it now. Setup is completely an admin activity that we'll be going through today, right? And then we have a help link here. So if I hover my mouse cursor on this, it will show me user guide, support, community, and feedback. User guide is very much useful. So we have to go through this. You people have definitely be into this in order to understand the development stuff and all, right? So help.boomi.com is the URL which you have to log in into. So it's an open link. It's not that you have to log in. So it's publicly available. And post that you also have support. Support is the kind of platform wherein If you face some problem in the development, and you see it as a roadblocker, and that particular situation is not, you know, it's a development kind of error which is appearing and which is not, intended to come up, right? So in such cases, you raise a support ticket to Boomi, so that Boomi people can view what the problem is, and they can help you in terms of how this can be resolved. All right. So that is a support link portal. So you have to get an access to support link portal. It's not that direct. So for an account, there can be a limited number of cases that you can raise, tickets that you can raise. There are enterprise level accounts wherein you can raise unlimited number of cases. Okay. So that depends, right? So it's not that direct. So raising a support ticket is like you have to discuss with your team, and once you feel that okay, this is a blocker and we can't solve it, then you go with that. All right. And next you have community and feedback. These two links will take you to community, wherein the community is a kind of forum. So you post your question if you have something in your mind. If you feel that that particular thing is not understandable, then go to community, post it. People will give you the references of links where it is already answered, or else some people give you the direct answer of how this can be understood. This is very much helpful, guys, for beginners to get started in order to understand whether this feature can be implemented in Boomi. If at all, if it is, then how? Those kinds of questions can be, answered by experienced guys. So these are the two things about the community and feedback. And next to that, you see Atom Sphere in a white ribbon. So if I hover my mouse cursor there, I could see MDM, API management, and flow. So Boomi. It's not about only an integration platform. It also has master data management as well. All right. So it's not only about AtomSphere. It also has master data management with the API management and with the flow. These are the three other different modules that Boomi provide to end user, right? So based on your project need, you accordingly go with the product. So most of the time, AtomSphere is mostly used as an integration platform. MDM master data management, it's not that used, but because completely you keeping your data with client or with the Dell is something concerning. So people mostly use AtomSphere as an integration platform. So that is about on a brief about how the different links are present in to make you familiar with the UI. All right. So that is one part of it. So if you come to the below ribbon, white ribbon, you can see some other links here, right? So below this particular area which I'm highlighting now is nothing but kind of this is a development screen. So we are not touching it directly now, but I just want to give you a familiarity in order to understand how the project lifecycle would flow. So the first thing is build. So in the build, you will develop something, and then the developed code will be deployed. So it's a deploy page. You have to go to deploy. So it will be deployed over an environment. So we have different environments like development, production, right? And then we have a UAT, SIT, like that. There are different environments. So based on our needs, we create environments and we deploy that process which we developed over that particular environment. So that is about deploy. And we also have Atom management and process reporting. So Atom management is kind of managing environments. So it's environment management, I can say. But they purely specify that it's an Atom management. So you create your environments, you manage your environments, you add atoms, etc. from the Atom management screen. And post that. So once you deploy it, once you manage your account, so you can schedule the atoms, you can schedule the process, everything in the Atom management itself. So everything is done here. So the most important one is the Atom management, right? Deploy is just a deploying aspect. Build is again important as it is a development area. Suppose that you also have a process reporting. Process reporting is a kind of uh, once a process started, or once the development you have deployed is running, is in a run mode, and you want to see how it is performing, whether it's executed or if there is any error, kind of something that you want to know. So they have given a unique feature. I mean, as per the clouds, I can specify. In process reporting, you have an UI wherein it specifies in a list wise, according to time, according to documents, everything. So we'll see that in detail, but still, just to give you an idea, there we will monitor whether how the production run is happening, how the test run is happening, everything, how much time it is taking for execution, etc. So this is on brief about the project lifecycle. So we also have dashboard, which is a kind of metric system. Metrics means statistics on how today's integrations went for past 1 week, for past 1 month, for past 1 year. So like that, they also collect the metrics for pertaining to your account, and they display it over a graph. So it is a kind of that, right? So we'll go to setup now, because as we have planned to you know understand the um, this particular administration activities. I'll be taking you to setup screen now. So in this setup, we would definitely understand something about licensing today, and also about user management, which are very much important for a developer perspective and from a business perspective.
Yeah, okay, that's fine.
Yeah, Mr. Srini, nobody is able to hear your voice.
Once I send.
Hello.
Yeah, Bharti, are you able to hear Srini?
No, I'm not. I have texted him that we are not able to hear, but
That's what.
I think he is.
Yeah, Mr. Krishna, what about Mr. Krishna? Mr. Srini, we are unable to hear you. Nobody is able to hear you.
Hey guys, are you able
Yes,
to hear me now?
Srini. Yes, Srini.
Yes, no.
Yes, Srini.
Oh, I'm sorry. There was some problem with the service. I restarted.
Okay.
Okay, it's clear, right? So we can start. We can proceed, right?
Yeah, we can start with the setup part, right?
Okay. So if you take a look at my screen now, I hope you're able to see where exactly you were unable to. There was some problem. Is it with
User
the email?
information. User
User information.
information.
Oh, okay. Okay. So perfect. So user information is guys. Please go on mute. If you have any questions, then come back. I'll just keep on looking at this particular tab if at all you ping me or something. So user information is just the information about yourself. The password if you want to change it, right? You go and do it here. There is one aspect, and then you also have time zone. Please do specify the current time zone that you are located in, because this comes in handy when you are looking at already ran processes, or when you are monitoring something up, then it shows up the processes according to the your time zone, so that will be helpful. All right, next you have email alerts. So email alerts is a kind of subscription kind of thing. You subscribe for something, then you get a newsletter kind of activity, right? But it is not more like a sales activity or something. It is just a status, or it is like a information. It is like a warning, which if at all something Boomi wants to tell you regarding any of the process execution or anything, then it does specify you, right? So if you click on add email alert here, then you have account. So you choose an account, this particular account, then you have log level. So here you can specify different log levels along with the event type. It's a combination of that. So what can a user expect out of this is that, let's say you have installed a software. So Atom is a software, right? So Atom finally is a .exe application. You have to install it on your machine, or any local machine or a virtual machine, so which has a good internet connectivity with a Java installed in it. So once these things are set up, right, then that particular Atom will has programmed in a way that it sends all the health status of it, or it executes some process, right? So it executes, it sends the process execution information, and it also does send the user information if something is going to change or something is changed from Boomi. So those details were sent to an user, for this particular user who will subscribe it via an email from Dell Boomi. So this is the kind of feature that they provide to you. So you can use it accordingly. Let's say if my virtual machine is down for some reason and you are not monitoring it by chance, and then suddenly if you subscribe this particular thing with an Atom status as an event type, then obviously you will get the information about the Atom regularly. When I say randomly, you get Atom is online or offline, and Atom has restarted or not, whether there is an error in the Atom, everything information level, you will get everything. So if at all any errors are present, then you obviously get some error information as well. So that is a kind of add-on feature you can subscribe. It's not costing you, but you have to discuss this. I mean, this is a feature that Boomi is providing, and if I'm not wrong, if I remember correctly, this was one of the certification questions that they used to ask in this objective type. So how email alert can be sent from Boomi platform? So there are multiple options, multiple answer choices. So one of the option is email alerts here from the subscription model. All right. So this is something about email alerts. I have given a gist of it. It's not that complex. You can just go through that. And post that, you also have account information. So in this account information, it shows your name, your account ID, the ID which I was showing on the URL, and so this is the primary key. So if you raise a support ticket, they might ask you, oh, which account you are asking us. So this is account. You have to specify them. And then the support role access. So I also said that there is a support, but to the support, who is the access role? I mean, there are roles here in Boomi. So that particular roles and privileges, it's very common in the SaaS application. So we also have roles and privileges here in the support role. So we will look at adding different roles and etc. today. But support role access is something you are specifying. Okay, which user can which user can create a support ticket. It's a kind of that. You also have Boomi Suggest and Boomi Assure. So these two aspects are like features of Boomi, but both are rarely used. So Boomi Suggest is a predictive kind of mapping. So this we can cover again in the map exercise. So we have a shape called map when we do this exercise, and we also have Boomi Assure. Boomi Assure is a kind of you get an assurance from Boomi people saying that hey, I have done my integration, so will it be the same or there are going to be changes and all. So this is not that focused from a Boomi or business perspective. It is just an kind of POC work or something, right? So that is about it. And if you want to change your subscriptions, you go with change my subscription. So if I click on this, an email box will be opening with it asks me in terms of which email should I be sending to and etc. Right? To the sales representative. Then I have something called licensing. I go to licensing. So this is an important aspect, guys. This is I can say for a developer perspective and from a business perspective, one should understand how the licensing concept work in Boomi. All right. So this does need some explanation over a paint. So I'll take this aside. Right. So you see licensing. Boomi. So this particular access to Boomi costed me some $550 because it's a base edition. So $550 per month, and then you also have connectors, everything given in a basic level, right? So I'll explain to you how this connectors and connections, everything would work. So in Boomi, because Boomi is the middleware, right? So Boomi will connect to different endpoints. So let's say this is a Dell Boomi SaaS application, right? So in fact, when I say Boomi, at the backend, who does my job is Atom because it's a software. So Atom, let's say if it is connecting to some endpoint, let's say I'm taking a file from my data, file from my disk location. So this is one location on my machine, right? And this file, I'm pushing it into Google Drive, right? So this is an integration I have developed already. Let's say I have done it in Boomi, and I just deployed it, this particular process, which has two endpoints. So this is one, this is two, right? So I deploy this over an environment, right? Generally, people will do that. We deploy something over an environment. Let's say in Tomcat, we have different environments we can create and different instances we can create over a server, and then we deploy it. That's it, right? So here also we are doing the same thing. We just deploy this particular process with two endpoints over an environment. So now Atom, I said Atom, right? So this particular Atom should be attached to any of the environments. So let's say I have environment dev D, I have environment production P. So this is another environment. So let's say in development environment, we thought of having two different atoms, atom A1 and atom A2. In production, let's say we have only one, A1, right? So this is a scenario, guys. Environment can have n number of atoms inside it. It's not that it should have contain only single atom, right? So what happens is, so these questions are pretty much asked in certification. For 2 to 3 questions might come. So just be clear with this. So when how many endpoints are there in a process that is deployed over an environment? That is a question. So let's say here two endpoints are there because one is this and one is this. It is deployed over an environment where atoms are two. So that means you have to multiply this number with 2. So finally you get 4. So you take 4 licenses from your account. So that is how it counts, right? So if you have 1, that means you do it with 1. So in production, let's say we have only 1. So into 1, so 2 into 1, then atom A1, then we have 2 licenses consumed. So this is one example, a basic example where a process is already developed with 2 licenses in it, and environment is development and production, how the calculations would be for in case of licensing. Is this clear, guys? I mean, I want to, this is one of its scenario, and hardly there are 2 to 3. I don't think this is much complex. So this is one of its kind. Any questions on this part? Any questions? This is a simple thing, right? I mean, I don't see any complexity inside this. Do you think anything is there? You have developed a process. In that process, you have 2 different connections, and that connections you have deployed. I said deploy. It's not that you're testing it. I said deploy. Once you have deployed, then only it will be counted. If you're not deploying it, in development, you can create n number of connections, no worries. Once you deploy them, then the license is counted. All right. So it is based on atom. So this is a one type of scenario. And the second kind would be, let's say this is my files and I'm sending it to Google Drive. That's okay. And the second thing can be something sort of this, the same my location. It's the same endpoint, same my file, same file again. Same file location, but different folder. Okay, same instance. And I have the same Boomi platform will integrate with, let's say this time box application, box.com. All right. So it is taking the data from my file to this location and it is placing it here. Let's say here, how many connections are there? Here one connection is there, and already here one connection is there. So 1 plus 1, we also have 2 connections here, right? Obviously 2 connections are there you used in this process. Let's say again we want to deploy it over an environment, right? But this time this is, let's say this is process A, which is already developed A, and this is B. So already, let's say this is already deployed inside this, right? So already 4 licenses are consumed, let's say, right? On atom A1 are there and A2, 2 atoms are there. So already 4 are consumed, and again you're deploying this over your environment again. So how it will count is, it will just go and check, is there any brand new connection coming up to this environment? Because one is already used, you have already used. So this will not be counted now. So in fact, box.com is a new connector. So it is multiplied into 2 all the time. Any number of atoms, that number into multiplication factor, that's it. But based on number of the licenses or the new connections coming up. And again, let's say I just changed the folder, not the instance altogether, but for SFTP kind of, for FTP kind of, you completely change the host information. Then that's a new connection again, right? So don't worry with this. So obviously again you get one only, because only one is already used. We have already got into this, and you also have a box as a brand new one. So this particular one will be multiplied by 2, and then you have a plus 2 to be added. So in total you have used 6 different connector licenses in your integration processes for 2 different interfaces, let's say. 2 different use cases. This is A and this is B, right? You can schedule it. It can run for, it can run for hourly or monthly. That we are not making use of. Let's say, let's for suppose we have got 6, right? I said these licenses will be counted after the deployment is done. So this is a major thing. It's not that you create a connector, then license will be consumed. No, it's not that, right? Once you deploy it, then only accounting happens on the licensing part, and then accordingly license count will be displayed, right? So one other aspect about this is that, so post the usage. So let's say how many files would be there. So let's say I have synced all my files to Google Drive, and now I want to decommission this. That means you have to undeploy this process because it's no more in use. It's a simple process, and you have another need of integrating other two applications, and you don't have licenses with you, right? In that case, you undeploy this, and again -4 will be done to your license count. Again, you have some good number of licenses with you. So your code will be there, but you're just undeploying the code on that particular environment, right? So that is how again you start developing a new thing, and again you can deploy it over an atom or an environment. Then obviously you again get some license counts used for this particular process. So some people, what they do is they take some timeline, they decide it, and they accordingly plan their usages. If it is definitely required, it should be running all the time and all, then they do not deploy or decommission that. If at all it is used all the time, then they go with this. So this is about the licensing concept. But again, as I said, this is a simple aspect. I think it's pretty clear, right? So that is it about licensing. But if I take a look at the licensing here you have connector classes. There is a table here provided. Connector classes, they say small business, standard, enterprise, and trading partner. Generally, the connectors that you use, they classify into 4 different kinds. That is small business. That means small business kind of connectors. Like, I mean, there are application end connectors. I don't know specifically what comes under the small business. Standard is something that people use like disk, SFTP, FTP, database, etc. Enterprise level connectors are something like SAP, NetSuite, Oracle. I mean, some of the Oracle products, they come under enterprise level. Trading partner is for EDI stuff. For EDI, type of integrations, trading partner is a connector which is used to integrate with a third party. So trading partner also is a separate connector altogether. So you see there are 4 different classifications. That's okay, and they have given you purchased account. So in my particular account, I have 7 purchased for the standard edition. So I don't need extra. And did I deploy any? 0. Nothing was deployed. I mean, nothing. No processes were there. Processes were developed, but no process was deployed on an environment so that these licenses are consumed. So there are 0. So there I have 7 available connector licenses. So that is about the standard. I mean, the counting of it. And accordingly, if I scroll down, you also see small business, standard, enterprise, trading partner, test. In the test again, you see purchased is 7 and deployed is 3 and available is 4. So that means in the standard test, if I click on this, I used database, I used email connector, and I used disk connector. So 3 connectors I have used on an environment. Some environment I have used. So the atom name is PAT, and this atom, I mean, it's a multiplication factor, right? So it's a single atom. So that's the reason it took 3 different connectors count. So that's the reason it's showing up here, right? So what is the difference between this and this, right? So it is the difference that made when you deploy it over an environment. So in Boomi, general classification of a project lifecycle is we create environments as development or production or testing or whatever it is. But in Boomi, what they have given is it's a test and a production. It's a test and prod, only test and prod. They have given it in this way, but how do you create an environment is based on your usage. So let's say how we generally do is for production we go with a production environment, right? For testing, for development, for SIT, for UAT, we go with the test environment. So when you create an environment, it asks you what is the type of classification that you want to provide, whether it's a test or a prod. Then I'll choose, okay, it's test that I want to go with. Then that environment will be created as a test. So this environment is created as a test. So when you deploy process on this particular environment, then the licenses will be consumed from this test and not the above one. All right. So when you deploy it on the production, let's say the classification of it is production, then it is a kind of standard that the values go through. So just to give a gist of it, how the environments are created and how do we classify it, just to solve your curiousness, I'll just take you to the atom management screen and show you how the classification that it asks me. So that is it, guys, about this standard and this standard test differentiation. And a person who is having access to licensing, because you can restrict the accesses also. So person who has administrator obviously will have, who has the access can come here and can see what are the processes deployed and what are the connections that were used, etc. So you see here I have production. So if I click on it, this you see the highlighted in dark, the bold ones are the environments. So if I expand it, you see something coming up in colors are nothing but the atoms, right? So you see the classification here is test. So just to give you a brief gist of it, if I click on new here, it asks me atom or environment. So I click on environment, it asks me for the name, it asks me for the classification. So it's whether it's a production or a test. That is it. There is nothing else. Production I give, then I save it. So it comes under production as a classification. So you see this, so the classification is production. If I deploy something over this where an atom is attached, so we have to attach an atom first. So that things we'll take care later on. But just to tell you, there are only two kinds of environments in Boomi, but you have to name it properly. Everything else comes under test, but production, only production or pre-production, or let's say you have two productions, then you go with that configuration. Any questions till this licensing part, people? Do let me know. Anything else you want to ask? Yes, no. Okay, perfect. So we'll proceed then. The next topic is something about the publisher and the developer. So publisher and developer, these two are linked here. So from account level, you give your publisher information, and from development resources, you go to developer tab. So let's say I have been to publisher. Let's say I have gone here. So here you have to. So Boomi provides an out-of-box feature. It gives you kind of a feature wherein you can actually log in, into Boomi platform, download software development kit. So this particular kit is it is a packed application of packed zip file with all of the required files in order to develop a connector yourself. So let's say you want to, there is a connector that you are looking out. It's very easy to implement. As you're a coding person, is there a person with a coding person? If he is ready to start do coding for the connector itself altogether from your company, then you can go for that. You can just try for it, even if it is possible. So first, for that reason, you have to give the publisher information. This is a kind of mandatory thing. And I could see these things can be changed for later on purpose also. So once this is done, you just save it, and then you go to developer here. So once you go to developer here you have download connector SDK. So once you click on this connector, this kit will be starting off connector SDK. So this one you have to import it into Eclipse and start documentation. So if I open the connectors, you have custom connector. So in this custom connector, they give entire information on how do you can develop and what are the restrictions that different classes have in this particular SDK kit, right? So once you have done it, you can just upload the connector here. So you click on add connector, and then sorry, you click on add the connector group first. So first you create a group, and then you add the details, required details. You upload descriptor and archive files. So there are two files that you have to upload post the development is done, and that accordingly you can add connector. So once you have added it, let's say that will not be removed, so you have to contact Boomi to in order to remove that. So they haven't given any feature to remove the connector which is already added. So that is a feature that they have given, but people generally view in this way that we are paying for account, we are paying for license, and we are paying for what we have already developed. So that, I mean, a connector is nothing but an endpoint, right? You're configuring something, so that is also comes under a license count. So people were pushing Boomi rather than developing this because there can be a maintenance problem from the people end when they start using the connector itself altogether, right? So that is the flip side of it, but they have given a feature, right? So that is one aspect of it. Then the security options are simple. The password policies that people generally use. And then you have the security, account level security. That means when you are making some API request to the account level, right, from some other endpoint, but you are a legitimate user, right? So when you are a legitimate user and you are sending something to the account information of Boomi, then you have to add CORS rules. So it's a cross-origin resource sharing. So you send some request from from somewhere, and it comes to Boomi. It authenticates with the Boomi platform, and then it routes back to you to the source. So it's a CORS mechanism. So it's only needed when in case you are dealing with the APIs on account level. So nothing to worry about now because it's rarely used, right? So it's a kind of SSO when you implement for your Boomi login, then you go with this. And next thing is you have account libraries. So it's again it comes under development resources. They classify it like this because account libraries are something like this. As Boomi is developed over a Groovy environment, and the Atom is developed over a Groovy and Java. So let's say you want to access, or let's say you want to make a JDBC connection to some endpoint. So endpoint can be SQL Server on PostgreSQL or IBM AS400, whatever it is. So Boomi connects to some database via a JDBC or an ODBC driver. So we call them as driver, but it is in fact a jar file, right? So people can let Atom know, okay, I'm giving you a driver or a jar file. You make use of it and then go and connect to the database. That is how people generally think. So if you want to add your own jar to Atom, so that you can make use of those classes in the processes, right? You developed a logic in a jar file or JavaScript or sorry, Java. Then you want to access that particular Java file or jar file in your process. Then you have to upload a file here in this account libraries. We'll discuss this in detail once we are dealing with the Atom and stuff. But again, I'll explain you again once we go there. But this is to just to give you a gist of it. All right. And then you also have user management. So this is an important aspect, guys. So user management is a kind of you add users. So I click on plus, I give user email address, first name, last name, and a role pertaining to that person, and then click on OK. He gets an email directly. He gets an email saying that, hey, this person got added. I mean, that person will get an email saying that this is a link, you have to go and give your password. A link will be activated till 30 minutes or so. That is how the email would be sent. And if you take any of the person, let's take me, he can have n number of different. Let's say I'm an administrator, I'm a standard user, right? So I have two different roles in this particular account, right? So pertaining to one account, if I highlight one account, you see the different privileges. So these are all the privileges that you can see. Different privileges: API, account administration, account management, re-access. So there are plenty. So all this information is again stored in user management. So if one wants to go ahead and make some modification, or let's say there is a testing group, they definitely only need process reporting screen just to see how it is going, right? So these three, or only would suffice only for testing group. Then you create a user and then assign him that particular role. So roles. So this is about adding a user and assigning him a role. But before that, for my account, as it is restricted, I get only two different standard accounts, or roles. But let's say if I go with the custom roles, if I go to here, so it's blocked here because I don't have privilege, or our account don't have privilege to do this. But still, you can click on plus. It asks you what is the name of the new custom role that you want to add. So I give it as testing, and then privileges. So all these administrator level privileges will be displayed, and you have to check only the required ones. So a custom role will be created with that particular privileges that you have checked up, right? So that users and assign this particular to that you have restrictions, right? Some people do restrict by only viewing build and atom management and not deployer, right? Because he may deploy unwanted things and license count may be affected. So it depends on the business of the particular company, how they want to proceed, right? So that is about a user manager. It's pretty simple, right? And then you also have tracked fields. So all these things, all this stuff, if you have a trial account, just go for it and just try. I'll get you user access once we started developing. For that, I would need your email addresses. I'll take a sometime tomorrow or something, and I'll add you to this particular account where you can start developing. I'll give you the basics on where to start off and where to we start our development. So there is something called document tracking in the administrator section or setup section. You can see it is a tracked fields. So these tracked fields are something kind of you add a variable. So this variable will act as a tracking variable, and you can decide a data type to it also. Let's say I create a tracked field called ID, which is common across some applications. We'll make use of this tracking fields in development, but just to give you this ID, which is a variable defined here, right, can be used in order to track the documents or the records. That's it. There is nothing more than that in case of in terms of usage, right? We'll see more once we are into build phase. So we'll start with the development activity tomorrow, a basic development. But this is to just to give you admin level things for a from Boomi standpoint. Let me take up some questions if you have regarding this, and please go through some of the information if you are unclear, or let's say you want to get some more clarity on this. Please go through the user guide. If you are still unable to follow, just push that question to me. I'll take it up. Any questions, guys? Okay, cool. So if you have any questions that comes up in your mind today, just take a note of it. We'll definitely discuss our tomorrow.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you guys. Thanks for joining. Hope you join on time tomorrow. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Shah.